Welcome to another Sweet Urban Living podcast. I'm really excited to have y'all here today as I welcome a very special guest. This person is very special to me. She's about the age of my daughters, and she's one of my clients. So I've gotten to know her really well working with her one-on-one. And I just want to introduce to y'all Rebecca Ververs. Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you,
I'm
Beth?
doing great. So, Rebecca, you and I have been working together. You have a beautiful business called Men to Bloom, and I'm going to ask you to share about that in a little bit. But let me just give the official welcome and introduction for everybody who's watching. So, Rebecca is a certified natural health professional and hormone health expert who specializes in helping women heal from hormone imbalances, regulate their cycles, identify root causes, support fertility, and transition off of birth control. Her passion for natural health comes from personal experience. Rebecca has faced chronic Lyme disease, the adverse effects of hormonal contraceptives, and the challenges of repeat miscarriages and infertility. Through these experiences, she has developed a deep love for naturopathy and a commitment to using the resources that God has provided to heal both our bodies and our emotional well-being as well. So Rebecca joins us today, to share her insights, strategies, and encouragement for women seeking holistic support for their health journeys. Welcome, Rebecca. So glad to have you. So, you've been through quite a bit, and I'm very interested to hear your journey, like we said, and you've got some very specific points that you help women with because of your own journey. Can you just share a little bit about how you got started on your path and why you're so passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah. So I got introduced to natural health and that field, holistic health, when I was very sick with Lyme disease. I was in college. I started having some crazy symptoms and was really suffering. No one could figure out what was wrong with me. And I finally found a naturopath, and they were able to diagnose me with Lyme disease. And we actually did antibiotics for quite a while, and they were more of they used both pharmaceuticals and herbal support. And we started with the pharmaceuticals because that's a typical approach when you have like really severe symptoms with Lyme disease. It's thought to be able to knock it back really fast. In my case, I did not respond well to the pharmaceuticals, and so we went the herbal route. After about a year and a half, 2 years, I was on them for quite a while. And as soon as I switched around to the herbal supplements, I started to improve and feel better. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this has just changed my world. I'm not having these, adverse side effects from the antibiotics. I'm not having the bloating. I'm not having the SIBO anymore. I'm not having the gut problems. I feel so much better on the herbs and on the supplements. And so that's really what got me interested in this field. And it really sparked my passion for it. And then later on down the road, kind of like you mentioned, Beth, I've struggled with fertility and miscarriages and all that kind of stuff. And that's really opened my eyes. I think for a long time, I was like, God, where do you want me to go? Because I knew that my path was in natural health. I just couldn't figure out my niche. And I thought for a while it was Lyme disease, and I felt like God was saying, no, it's not that, just wait. And as of like probably the last year and a half, when I first started working with you, Beth, that's when it was like so clear. God was telling me, you're going to help people become pregnant. You're going to help them with their hormones, and you're going to help in this entire area.
Wow.
So it's cool journey to watch, and I'm really excited for where I'm at now.
Yeah, that is really exciting. And it's exciting because I love seeing where God is moving you and how he's directing you exactly to the ones who need your help. And yet at the same time, it's heartbreaking. It's hard. This is one of those areas when you're talking about infertility and hormone balance and things like that. A lot of women who have gone through very painful times in their life, sometimes they are, they never get over it. I've had friends who, still in their 50s going, I want a baby. And it's hard. It's heartbreaking. But there are answers, to these issues. And that's what you're finding. So tell us, I know this is going to be probably a little bit of a hard conversation to have, but I really want us to connect with those who may need your help because you're there. You understand the pain. You've been through it. So, can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit? So, you dealt with Lyme disease, and I do want to talk about that because that is a big issue where I want to make sure we understand Lyme disease has lots of symptoms. It's hard to track down, it's
Mhm.
hard to get that diagnosis. So, the fact that you got one,
Mhm.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But then that you started to overcome that. So, you were overcoming that with herbs and other
Mhm.
natural remedies. And then you decided, or how did that come about? Did you say, "Hey, it's time to have a baby now"? Just what happened?
So yeah, I've been in remission from Lyme disease since we moved to Arizona, which was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay.
So that's been incredible. I felt better. I was like, I think I want to have a baby. I told my husband, and I was never sure if I wanted kids, but one day on the whim, I was like, I think I want to have a baby. He said, me too.
Oh,
And so we tried, and next month we were pregnant.
oh,
It was one and done. So that's how we kind of started. That's how it happened. It was really easy, no complications at first. Like I was pregnant very fast. And then what happened was I think we went in at our 10-week ultrasound,
mm,
and the baby didn't have a heartbeat. And that
oh,
was very unexpected.
mhm,
So that was a challenge with missed miscarriages. A lot of the times, what the protocol is they wait like a week or two just to make sure that that there's no chance that the baby will survive. And so they made me wait essentially 2 weeks to go back in for a
mm,
follow-up ultrasound to confirm that the pregnancy wasn't viable. And I
oh,
think that 2 weeks was probably the worst 2 weeks of my entire life because it was a very intense mind game to know I'm pregnant, but
mhm,
I'm not. Like I have something in my stomach. My body's continuing to change because it thinks that I'm pregnant still, but there's no life inside of me.
ah,
So it was that wrecked me, and that was very difficult.
mhm,
And um, I had to do medical intervention to make the pregnancy pass because my body wasn't doing it on its
mm,
own, and I was very nervous about an infection. So
mhm,
as much as I hate to turn to pharmaceuticals sometimes, I did, and I think it was needed in that moment. But
mhm,
um, and not to get off on a bunny trail, but just to kind of finish the story. So I had the miscarriage, and after about 3 months, I finally got my cycle back. And I remember I'm like, as soon as I get pregnant, this pain's going to go away and I'm going to feel better. And then I won't have to think about this loss anymore.
mhm,
But another month would pass, and then another month, and then another month, and I was not getting pregnant. And I think that's really when the time that God was speaking to me, it was just so profound what he was saying,
mhm,
that I'm using this time that you are suffering, that you are broken,
mhm,
that the light is kind of gone from you because of the loss that you experienced, and you're not able to achieve what you want so much, that he was like, I'm going to change all of this and make it beautiful someday. And I'm going to make it so that you can help other people the
mhm,
way the people that I'm crossing along my path while I'm struggling during that time had helped me.
mhm.
So that's kind of how it went down. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's really something. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because when
Yeah.
you said, all right, you are pregnant. The first time you tried, you're pregnant. You make it to the 10-week mark and no heartbeat. And that is
Mhm.
devastating. Absolutely devastating. But not only that, you have to wait another couple of weeks just in case. And so that's a war. That's grief. That's loss. And then you have to mourn again because then after the 12 weeks,
Mhm.
then your body starts to regulate and you start to have your period again and you're not getting pregnant. So you start mourning again. It's like loss after loss after loss. It's not just one
Totally.
loss, it's multiple
Mhm.
losses. And yet you came out of this stronger, um, and a closer relationship with God and certain of who you are and what you're called to
Mhm.
do.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Exactly.
That's pretty incredible. So, okay. So after that, you started, you said, okay, I'm still struggling. I'm still in this grief process. I'm still in pain. And, I just want to commend you, Rebecca, because a lot of times that's pain, those pain points, those very painful areas. when we come through them, they do make us stronger and they
Yeah.
give us our message to share. So, all right. So after you did all that, you're going, I want to help other women. What did you do next? What was your next move?
Well, after this, I guess another big part of this story is I did my very first fast around Easter.
Uh-huh.
And I went into the fast thinking, I'm going to do this fast and I'm going to get pregnant because I'm just going to
Mm,
pray about it and pray about it and pray about it. And that's why I'm doing this fast. And shortly into my fast, my prayers changed. My heart changed to
mm,
God, let me know you more and let me feel your presence more and feel peace for the situation or the circumstances that I'm currently in.
mm-hmm.
And so I think that was a huge healing piece of my journey. And I think that also really opened my eyes to it's time to start helping people and it's time to start making a difference. So after that, what did I do? I went to Trinity and I got my CNHP.
Mm-hmm.
I joined your
My
your
coaching.
there we go, your coaching program,
Yeah.
and I also went to school. I'm finishing up my certification as a certified fertility coach.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you started, you can help people. That's the beautiful thing is with natural health, you don't have to be trained. You can go out there and you can do your own research, find herbs, things like that. But also the beautiful thing is there are people who, like you, Rebecca, who go in and they study, you deep dive. So you got your training as a certified natural health professional through Trinity, which is kind of how we met. And then you decided to go on and become an expert in women's fertility. And then you're doing this Men to Bloom, which is more than just helping clients one-on-one. You're helping many people because you have an Instagram, right? And because I know
Yes.
you do because I've seen it. Share a little bit about what you're doing to share the message with women, you know.
Yes. On Instagram, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, not only sharing like tips and tricks and things that I've learned or what can help you along your fertility journey or with your hormonal imbalances, like lots of educational content. But also, I think it's important for people to see me and see the struggles that I've went through and that I'm currently going through. So that's a piece of my social media that I'm really trying to hone in on. I know that when I went through both Lyme and my miscarriages and this infertility journey, one of the main things that helped me is watching other people share their stories and talk about
Mm,
how they went from point A to point B or just telling me, how it felt. And so that's one of my biggest goals on social media is to let people know what I'm going through, which that feels kind of embarrassing because I haven't gotten pregnant yet. I haven't figured out my own situation, but I think God is telling me like people are going to trust you more and want to learn from you more if you're more transparent with them and if they actually see those raw, vulnerable
right.
sides of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is tough. I mean, it's one thing. It's like it's one thing to share with, your husband or your close friends and family. This is the pain point. These are the struggles because there are a lot of ups and downs, and even I love what you said about how during the fast your heart changed from God, this is what I want. I want to get pregnant to God, what I want is to be in your presence, and how
Mhm.
that really just changed things. But it's hard to share that. And even because I mean I've been through things. I had I did have a miscarriage, so that's one of those things where I understand that pain, I understand that loss, and
Mhm.
you don't get over any one of them. So I do have 3 children, doesn't mean I get over that loss.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
And so I guess where I'm going with this is your transparency and your vulnerability, because I have seen your Instagram. And so we're going to have links in the show notes. So please go as we're not anywhere near the end. I'm just going, y'all got to go watch Rebecca on Instagram. You have some very amazing posts that you've shared where you do get raw, you do get transparent. What message are you sharing with these ladies who are watching?
That I think one of the main things is unexplained infertility is, in my opinion, a lazy diagnosis. I feel like
Mm.
if someone's saying, we don't know why you're getting pregnant, you just mean you're never going to be able to have kids, we can't figure it out. I think that is not a place that you should stop. I think that's a place that you should look for other providers, continue to look for someone who will continue to look for the problem, and they won't stop until they find it, or look for the cause and won't stop until they find it. And also, I think that that's a lazy diagnosis, because a lot of the times doctors are not doing anything for their patients. If they say, oh, it's unexplained infertility, they're not saying, hey, work on your diet. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try these supplements or these herbs, and let's see how they help out. They're just kind of given this, like, we can't help you, sorry, and sent on their way. So I think that's one of the things that I really want to hammer into women's brains that are struggling with infertility, that is not the end. That doesn't mean it's the end of your journey. That doesn't mean that you have to give up. And so, yeah, I think as a whole, that's one thing that I want everyone to take away from when they see my page.
Yeah. So I know, because I've had many friends, family, things like that, who have dealt with infertility, and some clients and stuff like that. Have helped some as a natural health professional. And you're right, there are a lot of them where herbs seem to help. But it's more than just, oh, take an herb. I don't want it to sound like, oh, all you have to do is go take an herb and you can get pregnant. Sometimes it is more to it than that. And yet, when you say unexplained, it's like, okay, so from what I know, and you may be able to shed more light on this, they either check the quantity of eggs, the viability of eggs, the quantity of sperm, the viability. They're different things like that, and more than that they're checking. And so they can, when the medical field is checking these things, they can say, okay, we can help you because we can do either infertility treatments or something like that. But you're talking about something where they're going, well, we can't figure out why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is
For
that
sure.
what you received, is an unexplained?
Yeah, essentially. For quite a while, I probably saw 4 or 5 different naturopaths slash holistic doctors slash acupuncturists, as well as a couple mainstream medical doctors. And all of them were like, you look fine. I had a doc, like I was getting ultrasounds to make sure I didn't have endometriosis. And I was having ultrasounds to make sure I didn't have PCOS. I was getting lots of blood work done. I was getting lots of things looked at. But I finally saw an OBGYN that is more of a naturopath, but she's a medical doctor. And she texted me for the exact right things at the exact right time. She ran blood work throughout my cycle, in each of my phases, and looked at both my clinical symptoms, my physical symptoms, as well as the hard evidence, the lab work. And this was something that none of the practitioners I had seen before had done. They had just ran maybe one blood test, and then they're like, well, even though the panel was huge, they're like, everything looks normal, but they didn't know when to test for certain things. So this very wise OBGYN did my blood work. I did like probably 15 blood panels in 1 month. And sure as heck, I have PCOS. And that's because you can have PCOS without elevated androgens, without enlarged ovaries with lots of cysts on them, which is typically what you see when you have PCOS, but also your AMH can be very high. And that was my case. And so, so that's exciting. It's a bummer because I don't want to have PCOS, but it's exciting because now I know, okay, myo-inositol, ubiquinol CoQ10, NAC, like I know, increase my protein. I know what to do for myself to help improve my odds and help increase my fertility and manage my PCOS. So I think that's a prime example of when everyone was telling me everything looks fine, just eat more vegetables, you're doing great. Like I hadn't found the right practitioner to actually who knew enough to look for the right thing, if that makes sense. So,
it does make sense. And that's another, just in my own practice and working with different people, I understand, especially us ladies, we deal with the fact that we are on cycles. And it's like when you do blood work, you're just getting that picture, that window of time snapshot. You're not getting the what's happening in the first week and the second week, the third, the fourth. You're
Mhm.
not getting
Mhm.
all of that. So that's very interesting that you found someone who was, had the wisdom to say, let's see where you are all throughout your cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. So you went from unexplained diagnosis to now we have something to work with, and you've got something
Mhm.
that you're working on now. That's really cool. I also like
Mm.
what you said about finding the right practitioner, which is where you are because your heart is to help women who maybe like you have struggled in this area. So tell
Yeah.
me now about the training, the fertility training, anything else that's led you to dive deep into this.
I think that one of the main things that has helped me to dive into this so passionately is that I not only want to help other people, but I can also help myself at the same time. I can also learn things and apply them to myself at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me more of a like real life experience when I'm recommending things to my clients. I know how they work. I know how it makes you feel sometimes. So that's been a blessing. In the courses that I'm doing quite a few courses. I'm reading lots of books. I'm listening to lots of podcasts. I'm learning constantly, even when I'm working. And through my studies, I think some of the coolest things that I'm learning is that tracking your cycle naturally, looking for your fertile window by recognizing certain signs that your body is giving you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the things that you eat, your lifestyle, your sleep, all of the things that we're taught in basic, like in Trinity in my certified natural health professional course, all of those things play such a massive role in fertility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for lots of women, they don't understand how important some of these pieces can be if you're someone that is struggling with fertility. I've read plenty of stories where someone is having struggles getting pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because they're using an app on their phone that tells them when they're ovulating, but their app is wrong. And so as soon as they start tracking their cycle naturally and looking for the signs and symptoms of your fertile window,
Mm-hmm.
they get pregnant off the bat.
Wow.
So I think like that's just a clear example of like being more in tune with your body,
Right.
paying attention to it more, learning more about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can really, really help support your fertile journey.
Yeah. And you're mentioning the foundations of what we call the foundations of health, where what you eat, what you drink, how well you sleep, getting out in the sunshine, exercising, um, so many different things that play into our health, and you can't separate them. You can't say, well, my hormonal reproductive health is separate from digestive health or something like that. And I know this is one of my experiences is one of the first places we always started and with my clients was, how many bowel movements are you having a day? Are you having regular bowel movements? And now this is going to be for
Mhm.
someone who may not have a situation like PCOS or endometriosis or something like that. But it
Mhm.
just goes to show that as soon as they started eating healthy, drinking water, and having regular bowel movements, I've had several clients get pregnant just from making those corrections. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how important that is. But and I'm not saying, hey, if you're going, hey, I'm not having regular bowel movements, you can't reach out to Rebecca. Reach out to Rebecca no matter where you are in this. See, um, but it's amazing how those foundations make such a difference. But you're helping
Yeah.
those who may have experienced issues like you have, where they've gotten their hopes up, they've tried and done everything they know to do, and they're just not getting the answers they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you see clients and you're helping them, how are you helping them? You mentioned tracking, you mentioned diet, you mentioned all kinds. So what is it if someone comes to you, how are you going to help them?
I start out with teaching them fertility awareness method, and that's as I spoke about prior. That's basically how you learn to recognize your fertile window, and you learn to recognize it so well that if you're having some sort of hormonal imbalance, you can tell just by paying attention to some signs and symptoms that your body gives you throughout each cycle. So that is where I start with my clients, is teaching them that if they don't already have an awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also like to look back on a couple of their cycles if they have been tracking their temperature, their cervical position or mucus, any other symptoms. Then I can kind of piece together the puzzle and go, hey, you're not even ovulating, or it looks like you're not having the rise in progesterone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where I love to start. That gives us so much information that I think a lot of doctors miss, even looking at before jumping to anything else. And then from there, you know, applying a lot of the stuff that I learned at Trinity is making sure that I'm approaching each client situation with a bio-individual approach, because each client is going to have something different going on. Whether they've been told they don't have PCOS, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't look for symptoms that are pointing towards that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what we're saying. When you talk about holistic approach and you're looking at the person and you say bio-holistic, you're looking at that person, their life, and what they are going through, because it's not only are we different individually, genetically, but our environmental circumstances, our family circumstances, our dietary circumstances. There are so many things that need to be looked at when you're helping clients, no matter what kind of client I'm helping. That's what I want to look at, is that person individually. So, okay, you talk about this, helping them track. So if they don't know how to track, they're brand new, they don't know how to do that, you're going to help them learn how to track their cycle so that they can get hey, I am ovulating. So one of the things that, sometimes, I've even had friends who were like, we couldn't get pregnant. So we decided to adopt. And as soon as they adopt and bring the child home, suddenly the woman is pregnant. And that's to me, that seems to be a stress factor. How does stress play into?
Stress screws up our cortisol, which in return screws up our adrenals, which can screw up various different things in our bodies, hormonally related. And so when our body is super stressed and we're on high alert, we're in fight or flight all the time. When am I going to get pregnant? How do I get pregnant? What if I never get pregnant? That's constantly going through our brain. Our cortisol's through the roof. Our adrenals are shot. And our body's basically protecting us from getting pregnant. So we'll have what they call anovulatory cycles, where we don't ovulate because our body feels like there is some sort of danger that it has to protect us from. I know I went through, it's easier said than done, that just stop stressing about it. Like everyone would tell me, stop thinking about it and you'll get pregnant. I'm like, thanks.
Wish I'd thought of that.
Really, I was putting together a reel today, and it's like, I'm going to put it out, I think, in a couple days, but it's basically the stages of your fertility journey. So I go through like my first miscarriage, like dealing with that, my second miscarriage, dealing with that, my third miscarriage, dealing with that, and where I'm at now. And when I'm going through my old videos that I recorded through those stages, you can see like my face is like filled with zits, like, and it looks dry and pale, and like you could just tell that the stress that I was going through internally manifested externally as well. You could just tell that I was like trying to get through every day with everything I had. And so that's probably why I didn't ovulate for months and months and months after my missed miscarriage. So I'm glad that you brought up stress, because that's so important to pay attention to.
Yeah. So there are a lot of factors that go into this. Now, you help women. One of the primary things is the infertility, but it doesn't have to be infertility, right? So because you're working with women who are dealing with hormone imbalances, and the truth of the matter is, you can have someone who has several pregnancies, several children, and they are still dealing with a severe hormone imbalances, whether it's through something like endometriosis or a cyst or PCOS or all the various things. It could be thyroid or adrenal or things like that, even pancreas, insulin. So how do if someone comes to you and says, okay, it's not really infertility, but I really want to get my hormones because they're just out of whack. Maybe it's they can't lose weight, can't gain weight. I mean, I've had both sides of that. how does that, are you learning about that as well and helping clients with that too?
Yes, absolutely. Learning a lot about that, helping clients with that. I think for women, we really have to pay attention to how we're feeling because a lot of the times it's related to hormones. It's my mom, for example, and my aunt had Cushing syndrome, where they were like hunched over.
Mm,
You know what I mean? They had a hunch right here. And I didn't know that they had that until I started learning. I dove into natural health. And so it just like we had no idea that would be hormone related,
hmm
but it certainly was. So I love to help women with hormones because our hormones, our monthly period is like our monthly report card. It
hmm
can tell us so much about our health just by, the color of our blood, what it looks like, our symptoms, our PMS. So it's very important that we have a healthy report card because as soon as we have a healthy report card, we're probably going to feel a lot better. So I love to help people with hormones, no matter what the root cause is,
hmm
no matter what the hormonal imbalance is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
excellent. So, okay, so you're doing reels and you have a Facebook group. So you
Mhm.
have a place where women can, or is it an Instagram group? Where do you have a group where,
The Facebook
okay, so
group.
you have a Facebook group where women can come and if they need support. So if you're listening to this and you're going, hey, I need that support because this is one of those areas where honestly, unless you have gone through this, talking to other people who have not gone through it, they can
Mhm.
they can sympathize, but they don't really know the pain,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are like you said, Rebecca, they're like, well, if you just don't think about it, or if you just let it go, or just whatever. And it's just
Mhm.
this trite, and they don't mean to be, you know what I'm saying? They don't mean, they're trying to be helpful, but they don't understand. So if you're
Yeah.
going, I need a safe place where I can go, Rebecca's sharing things, helpful information. There are other women who get it, you know, then we've got
Mhm.
that link to the group as well that we're going to share in the show notes so that you can look at it. You can go, you can join. So that's there. And then you're offering consultations with women. Now you are able to do this virtually as well. So you say you're in Arizona, but the good news is you are a virtual consultant where it doesn't
Mhm.
matter where people live. They can book an appointment with you. So tell us how that works.
So I'm offering is a free 15-minute call where we chat about what's going on with you, your symptoms, your goals, all of that stuff, make sure that we're a good match. And then the program that I'm offering is a 12-week program where we work on fertility, hormones. We go through a detox together to try and get rid of any toxins that you're inhaling, eating, that you're around every single day.
Mhm.
And we work to boost your fertility or heal your hormones, whatever your current goals are. So that is the program that I currently have running. 12-week program, biweekly meetings, and we can extend longer if need be.
That's excellent because it takes more than one visit to start getting things set, or one or two visits. So 12 weeks sounds
Yeah.
really good. And then, like you said, it's something where, hey, if we need to keep on going, you can do that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
found it very interesting because one of the things in your program is detoxifying. So why would you
Mhm.
need to start off with detoxifying if you're going, I just want to get pregnant? What does detoxifying got
Yeah.
to do with it?
Detoxing is so important because your egg health actually goes back 3 months. So if you start detoxing and fueling your body and helping to improve that egg health, you're going to have much healthier eggs within 3 months, and that will reduce the risk of miscarriage or infertility even more. So that's why I really encourage a detox, and that's why I do that with my clients. I'm actually doing a detox right
Mhm.
now just because we are eating, typically all Americans are eating things or that are filled with toxins and pesticides and processed crap and
Mm.
additives and all that fun stuff, which are essentially toxins, and most of them are endocrine disruptors. So that's messing up our hormones and probably not helping out our eggs. Same thing with things that we wash our hair with or our bodies or put on our face, or if we're inhaling anything or drinking anything that's toxic, all of that stuff is not helping our egg health and
Mm.
it's not helping our fertility. So I like to do a detox to just reset your body and get it back to where it should be, to the optimal place for healthy eggs to grow and for your body to repair and start preparing for pregnancy.
Wow. And that's so important. And it's really funny. It's not funny. I say that it's the funny of people we don't think about the fact that the dryer sheets we use, the laundry detergent we use, the shower gel we use, the plugins that we put in with the fragrances to make our houses smell better. But all of those things can really disrupt our endocrine system and our cycle and make our eggs not as healthy as they should be. And the truth
Mhm.
is, when we're talking about fertility, we've been talking about women's health, but that actually affects men as well. Um,
Yes.
so it's one of those things where if you can get your guy to take this journey with you, it's going to help increase. They may not be your client, but
Mhm.
if you're sitting here going, I'm working with Rebecca, that's a really good idea. One of the things, and as an herbalist, I'm going to just share that one of the um, herbs that I learned to share with my clients was the herb Damiana, because it strengthened the health of both the egg and the sperm. And so that
Mhm.
was one of those that I was like, wow, and again, I had several clients who we called, I was like, oh, I have herb babies, because they came to me. And when we started setting their foundations and we started using different herbs to help their balance the system and everything, they would
Mhm.
get pregnant. And it was like, it's always so
I
exciting
love
when
that.
they would come and see me, afterwards. Um,
I love that.
you're helping people from you're not just looking at, let's track your cycle. You're looking at, let's balance your entire system. Let's bring you
Mhm.
and your
Yeah.
body into a place of health. So,
Mhm.
okay. So you're doing all these incredible things. If there's just one thing, if you could share with the audience today, if there's one thing that you would say, this is what I would do, what I would want you to do, what would that one thing be?
Learn the fertility awareness method.
Okay.
That would be, yep.
So the fertility awareness method, so you teach that in your program and you help ladies with that.
Mhm.
But can you just give us a little
Yeah.
glimpse of what does that mean, fertility awareness? What are you doing to be aware? Because I mean, my cycle starts, my cycle ends. What more
Mhm.
is there to it?
You have 4 phases of your cycle. And so it's basically tracking your body throughout those 4 phases. So to figure out how your hormones are working and see if there are any imbalances.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that you do is you take your temperature with the basal body temperature thermometer in the morning, first thing when you wake up, without getting out of bed, before you talk, before you drink anything. You pop that baby in your mouth and you track your temperature every single morning. And why this is important is because when you are ovulating or when you ovulate, to confirm that ovulation has happened, your temperature rises, like let's say from 97 to 98 degrees, and it'll stay in the 98s until you have your period and then it drops back down. That's important because if you're just testing for ovulation using an LH strip, that only tells you if there's a rise in the LH
Right.
hormone instead of confirming ovulation. So you can say, I'm ovulating, I'm getting positive LH strips, but you could actually not be. So that's why I really think it's important to confirm ovulation is happening, whether you're trying to have a baby or not, using a thermometer, because that's going to tell you a lot about where your body's at. That's just one of the pieces of the fertility awareness method. But if for anyone that's curious about it, start there and start tracking that, and you'll be amazed to see
Wow.
what your cycles look like. Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to go back to something when we were talking about detoxing and making the egg stronger. And you were saying something about the health of the egg starts 3 months previous. So whatever
Mhm.
you were eating, drinking, breathing, sleeping, exercising 3 months ago
Yeah.
is the health of
Yeah.
the egg today.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when you are working with clients and because someone who's been dealing with infertility, I know there's this, I want to get pregnant now feeling. And it's
Mhm.
like you just
Yeah.
can't shake that I want to get pregnant, because it's more than here. And I would say it's even more than just oh, I long for this. It's almost like it's every cell of your being is going, I want
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
So I have a question. If you're going, we need to detox, we need to cleanse. Are you encouraging women to maybe wait to get pregnant?
I suggest we do wait to try, just to get your body back on track. But that doesn't mean, I know for some women, it can be like, they're like, I'm not stopping. I'm not
Yeah,
stopping. I'm not going to miss a month of trying. And so that's fine. We just have to tailor the detox to maybe not be quite as intense
gotcha.
in case they get pregnant.
Yeah,
And also, you can continue the detox once you fall pregnant. It just has to be greatly restricted
right.
and tailored to be safe for a pregnancy,
Yeah,
right? So it really depends. I would prefer for them to wait just because, like you said, it takes 3 months for our eggs to revamp. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's when you're talking about something where you're going, okay, you're dealing with this great desire, a longing,
Mhm.
and a lot of
Mhm.
disappointments and things like that, and you're going, but there's hope. I think that's one of the things where, Rebecca, when I look at your videos and I look at what you're sharing, the message is that you're coming at is, even though you're going, I'm still in this position myself,
Mhm.
there's a message of hope. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit more?
Yes. I didn't have hope for a long time. In May, I had my third miscarriage,
Mm,
and that's where I was like I went through this weird phase where I'm like, I'm done trying. I'm over it. I'm over it. And something weird happened. I don't know how to explain it, but maybe it's just like because I'm investing so much of my time into this business and helping other women that I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. And I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to have try to have as much hope as I can in this situation and as much faith as I can in Jesus to make this happen, to make this miracle happen that I want so bad. I think it's important for us to have hope because once we lose hope, I feel like it's harder to achieve what we want because then we stop caring, we stop taking care of our bodies, we're just over it.
yeah.
And so I think it's important as hard as it may be to hold on to that hope and have that faith, even if it's as small as a mustard seed, have that faith that something's going to change and that you will get your baby someday.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard, man. It's so hard.
Yeah. So, but I love that. I love that you're going, the holding on to hope in the midst of the
Hmm.
situation and knowing that there are answers. And I love what you did is you kept pursuing.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have hope, you wouldn't have kept pursuing and gone and said, let me find someone who actually is going to, instead of just, going, oh, well, I don't know what else to do. And,
Yeah.
as we say that in every episode, I want to make sure that we don't, dishonor anyone who's in the medical field because, they're there, they're trying, they're doing the best that they know how. And so when they do that, I'm sure that many of them are, you know, distraught for their patients because they got into the medical field to help people. But it's
Mhm.
hard when
Absolutely.
you're on the other side and you're going and they're just going, I don't know what else to do. Oh, well, I guess this is just, you're just going to have to live with this. Um, Instead of giving up and going, there's nothing that can be done, you're saying there's hope, there are answers,
Hmm.
there are
Yeah.
ways to do this. And like I said, we do know people who have turned to the natural holistic path and gone, when they started walking it, not only did they get pregnant, have babies, but their general health
Hmm.
improved as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so you offer, like I said, you offer client consultations. You have a 12-week program. You
Mhm.
have a Facebook group where people can come and get support. You're putting reels out so that people can come and I love what you said also about being transparent. So if you're watching this and you're feeling like nobody understands, you understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, I ask if there's one thing that you would recommend, but is there anything else that you would want to share? Is there anything that you have that you want to offer to people who are listening?
On my website, I do have a free hormonal balancing quick reference guide. This is great. It's a free resource. I think everyone should have it because it's a very fast way to tell if I'm having these symptoms, I might have this imbalance, and these are some foods that I can start eating to help with this imbalance. This is great because you don't need to have a diagnosis of low estrogen or high estrogen or anything like that. You can eat food and see if it makes it better. So that's a great place to start if you feel like something is going on. It's available on my website, mentobloom.com, and it's also available on Instagram. My link is there under my bio.
Okay, cool. So if you are watching this, go get Rebecca's free guide, because that sounds really good, because a lot of times it's just a matter of, let me just eat these things, and if it starts to bring correction, you know that you're on the right track. And if you go to the Men to Bloom website, which the link is going to be in the show notes, so you have a fertility breakthrough call that you can just chat with Rebecca and see, hey, is this something that is going to be a right fit for me? And then that 12-week program that really is going to lay a good foundation to help women. And I love it. It's working on the physical level, but you know, by having someone there beside you, walk the journey with you, you're not facing this alone. And that's what Rebecca's there for. So, yeah. Well, this has been really great, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. And I would love to have you back on maybe another time and just share more of your journey at some point. So this has really been good. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it.